And what's going on, everybody, and welcome. We are logging on to episode 115 of the podcast. We got a very special episode for you guys today, and I am joined by my co-host, as always, Luke Gans. Thank you for being here, my man.
How we doing?
We got two things really on the schedule today. No poll of the pod this week, but we have our review for the movie Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. We're going to delve deep into that one, and then we have our main topic, which is the top 5 stand-up comedians, our favorite stand-up comedians. I actually enjoyed the list I made for this.
Yeah.
Because it brought back some memories of some old specials that I saw
that you've
back
watched.
in the day.
Yeah, exactly.
But let's get right into Ant-Man first. I don't understand why the critic reviews were as, and they weren't even that bad. It's the worst of the MCU movies. You know what I mean? It's like a 50-50 split with the critics of them liking it and not liking it, in a sense, on Rotten Tomatoes at least. But it's tied with Eternals, and I'm not even saying Eternals was that bad of a movie either. But come on, it was better than Eternals.
The sooner I've made this. How many times have I made this comment to you? The sooner that people realize that and this is coming from a Marvel fan, so there's bias, right?
Yeah.
But look at Marvel's catalog. As much as there's a lot of
it's still good.
It's still good.
Yeah.
What is their worst projects? Thor 2, Incredible Hulk.
Sure. That's even
She-Hulk,
debatable.
if you want to put it on.
Incredible Hulk is a little debatable.
I agree.
Yeah.
But She-Hulk and then Eternals, Thor, Love and Thunder.
Yeah.
Those are all bottom tier ones. You can make the argument that this is that, right? And I understand the criticisms of certain things.
Sure.
But number one, I don't see how you bring Kang into this universe without doing it similar with the multiverse kind of a situation.
Oh, well, you have to.
And the only people that have explored it like that are them. You're not going to send fucking Thor there.
No, right.
No, so yeah, you're going to send Ant-Man. And some people, I heard one criticism that Kang didn't really get to unleash his
full power.
I agree with that. That's fine. That's a fine argument.
Why would you reveal that anyway in his first introduction?
If you want to make any kind of a case, I would say that maybe I would have liked to have seen when he used his blasters and he fucking yeeted all those people.
Yeah.
I would have maybe preferred if he had done it to a lot, if you had seen a sea of people and he just wiped them all.
That would have been cool.
Or I was actually thinking about how I would have preferred he had fought combat-wise, face-to-face with the woman, the lantern guy, the sponge guy, and then the telekinetic guy. Mm-hmm. Almost like a Fantastic Four versus him, foreshadowing that he might eventually fight them, because there's comics that he's fought them.
Well, isn't Kang a descendant of Mr. Fantastic and Invisible Woman?
Of Reed Richards?
Yeah,
yes.
a son or something?
I'm not even going to try to get into that.
But that's deep in the comics somewhere.
Yes, it's very much deep in the comics. But, I would have loved that, where, again, you fight the 4 of them. You don't kill all 4 of them. I mean, you could have. You could have.
Yeah.
I personally would have preferred if he had killed off. And, I understand that, we were talking about it before. I'm a little bit sad they didn't kill anyone off, any of those main characters. Because how much longer are you going to... You're not going to kill Cassie, because if she's going to eventually be a young Avenger, I get it. You can't do that. Right. I also understand not killing Ant-Man, because I think it would actually be better if Kang eventually kills him.
I agree.
In a rematch, so I think it's better that you didn't kill him off.
But
I think the Wasp killing him, having the Wasp kill him would have been killed in that movie would have been great, or vanished would have been great. Mm-hmm. But I also think the ending was very good with how they kind of tied it in, that he seems like everything is fine. I watched a review last night that brought up an awesome point that I'm kind of sitting with now. Remember when he had to go get the core and they said the longer that you're in there, the more you'll go insane?
Yes.
I watched a review last night that said at the end of the movie, when he's going in his head and talking about how Kang is alive, Kang is dead, Kang is whatever, all these things, when he's doing that where he's like, Oh, we killed him, right?
He's not coming back. But is he coming back? Yeah, right.
Is Ant-Man not stable anymore?
I could get on that theory as well, and I actually love that theory. I'm not gonna lie.
Love that theory. So I heard that, and I was like, oh shit, I kind of love that. That would be awesome if that we see in the next phase him battling with that, and I don't want to see him almost like side with Kang, but like, how does he kind of go crazy and then like get someone hurt, like another Avenger, or get someone killed, then causing him to be like a liability in the Avengers, then causing him to sacrifice
100%.
himself against Kang to do something like that. But I mean, you're all idiots. I'm sorry. Like, critics are idiots.
No, critics are idiots.
Critics are idiots.
The audience score on Rotten Tomatoes is like 84, 85. Yeah. That's great.
They're idiots. They're idiots. You cannot like this genre, but you can't review a movie series. There was 1,000 reviews for audience, or 2,000 or something crazy. There was like 200 critics.
Yeah, right.
You guys are idiot. You're stupid fucking, and I'm like, so, because again, we're technically critics. We're nowhere near these people, these film school shitheads.
Yeah, right. We're speaking for the public.
I am not saying this is Infinity War. I'm not saying this is Wakanda. Like, I liked Wakanda Forever. I made a hot take that it might be better than the first one. It's definitely not.
Ooh,
but like,
no.
It's definitely not. But like, it's up there. I think the emotions of it are up there with the first one. Obviously, understandably so.
Definitely.
You're idiots. You're idiots. I'm sorry. Like, this was not my favorite movie, but Jonathan Majors absolutely killed it.
Yeah.
You are an idiot if you don't think so.
Well,
and I'm going to keep saying
all the critics
they said
agreed.
They agreed.
Kang was the best
but a lot of them
it.
were like, oh, like, he wasn't in it long enough. It's like,
I mean, it's
look
his
at
introduction, man.
Boba Fett in Episode 5. He's in the movies for 6 minutes in total in Star Wars, and now he's got a whole book, a whole movie, a whole lore.
It's true.
Again, two different people. Vader doesn't have as much. I mean, when do you see Vader for the first? Like, yeah, obviously Episode 4, you see him walking in and stuff.
Yeah.
But the whole movie doesn't revolve around him.
He's just mentioned and shit like that.
Yeah, and then you see him and stuff, and again, it's not comparable because Vader gets a lot more screen time, but it's part of it is like, I was watching this movie, seeing him as Darth Vader.
Well, dude, I think
in
this
so
was...
many scenes.
I think, like, a lot of critics were saying this, too, and I agree with it. This was Marvel Star Wars.
Yes, is homage to Star Wars, 100%. It was Episode 6. It was like a combination of everything.
All
but the people were like Ewoks.
Yeah, like all the creatures and everything like that. I thought it was awesome, like the ships and everything. And all the animals and whatnot.
I saw someone say the action wasn't that great, and I disagree with you.
I thought the action was incredible.
I thought it was really good.
I thought the action was one of its
I went in there thinking it was going to be a CGI fuckfest, and it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be.
I agree.
I thought it was going to be... And I actually got concerned because the first scene when it was Janet Van Dyne, when she like when Kang first crashed, it was so blurry in the theater for me. And I don't know if it was like maybe just like out of focus or whatever.
Yeah.
But I saw it and I'm like, is this because of the 3D? Well, I thought it was because they tried to like they filmed it in 3D or they filmed it in IMAX.
Or
so I was
you
like,
thought you were in a 3D theater.
No. I knew I wasn't in a 3D theater.
That would have freaked me out.
But it was more that I was watching it and I was like, if this is how the movie's gonna look because they want it to look 3D, I was like gonna be like, oh my god, this is terrible. But it wasn't. Thankfully, it like fixed itself and shit. Again, this is by no means the best movie in the series.
No.
I was listening to some people argue about what was a funnier dynamic. Was it Black Widow's dynamic, like with Yelena and Red Guardian? Very funny.
Yeah, they were good.
They were funny. I think they both had funnier points. I think Ant-Man pulled back on the comedy, but I think...
Agreed.
Like, I heard someone say the comedy in this movie, when it didn't hit, and it was worse when it, like, compared to better. I personally think they pulled back, but the funnier parts were funnier. Like, I got a kick out of MODOK being naked. Like, yeah, like, some people were like, oh, like, whatever. I thought that was funny.
No, I thought it was funny, too.
I thought the Seven Holes thing was funny.
Yeah,
I thought
me too.
the dynamic between Paul Rudd was funny with MODOK. Like, dude, I thought they were great.
Yeah.
In comparison to, right, Paul Rudd, when he was in the presence of Kang, I think he was like trying to be like funny with him, or like, do you know who I am? I'm an Avenger. Right. And then very quickly realized this is not someone that I can fuck around with.
100%.
In comparison to where, let's do a Star Wars analogy, when Poe met Kylo Ren when he's like, "Do you talk first or I talk first?" I was rewatching that movie the other day.
I don't remember that.
It was the first episode 7. Did you watch episode 7? Remember when he captures him in the camp and he like is interrogating him and he goes, Poe's like, "Oh, do you talk first or I talk first?"
Oh wait,
he was trying to be funny with him, and it's like that was the most serious part of the movie, and he tried to make it funny.
Yeah.
Where Ant-Man usually does that, I think Paul Rudd very quickly did a good job of being like comedy with everyone else. But as soon as he realized like what Kang's true potential was, that he could kill Cassie, he could kill everyone, he's like, "All right, cool, we're in there."
There was not one scene where it wasn't intense when Kang was present. Like, there was no funny parts when Kang was present.
No.
And I love that.
I
love that for them.
I love
It's
that.
great. I also loved that when Cassie was in danger, Ant-Man was triggered, and I love that too.
Yep.
I love that family aspect. That captured what the Ant-Man movies always were.
Yes, correct. He's always protecting Cassie, correct.
Protecting Cassie.
Yep.
So I want to rant off a little bit real quick. All right, so you've known this. I've said this on the pod plenty of times. I was very iffy about this movie. I was very shaky about this movie. I didn't think the trailers were anything that special, and I did think it was going to be a huge CGI shit show.
Yep.
CGI didn't bother me that much at all. I thought it was pretty good.
I thought it was good.
The movie was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. And I think it's primarily because of Kang. I am obsessed with Kang now, to be honest with you. Yeah, represent right there.
Shout out Vintage Rush, Fire Tea.
Let me go into a little bit of my negatives for the movie, which aren't a lot, and then I want to tell you what I loved. So, the negatives. I did say it captured the heart in some sense of an Ant-Man movie, but this didn't feel
It wasn't
like
an Ant-Man movie. Yeah.
It was an Avengers-level threat movie, which I see that's what they were trying to go for, obviously. But I wish it was a more smaller-scale Ant-Man movie again this time. Not seeing the ex-con crew kind of bothered me a little bit.
Yeah, I know
they were the funniest parts of the first two movies.
And I agree with you, and like I would have loved to have seen them.
It also makes sense that they weren't there, though.
It makes sense that they weren't there because it
course.
wasn't as funny of a movie.
Right.
I think it could have been funny if, like, I was thinking about it the other day. I think it would have been hilarious if they showed up at Cassie's house in the as the movie's ending.
The dinner.
No, yes, but I was thinking, what if they showed up at Hank's house?
Yeah.
Thinking they were supposed to go there in comparison to the dinner. So, like, the three of them are, like, knocking on the door while they're at dinner, like, oh, like, are they going to come out? Like, oh, like, what's going on? Like, kind of shit like that, you know what I mean?
I
like, waiting
even love
and
that
waiting.
as a post-credit scene of them showing up there.
That's what I'm saying, but, like, I think it would have been hilarious, like, a really good nod and a cameo if, like, they were knocking on the door and they're, like, waiting.
Yeah.
This is the address, right? Like, we're supposed to be here. That's what Hank said, or Scott said. Scott said be here at, whatever time.
Right.
Oh, you sure it's not this time? Like,
something funny like that.
Exactly. And be like,
I would have liked that.
Yeah.
But I think those were really my only two complaints.
Yeah.
Once again, Kang was fucking awesome in this movie. MODOK.
Awesome.
A lot of that. He's a very divisive figure for this movie with a lot of people. I loved
MODOK.
it.
I thought it was good.
I thought he was hilarious. The whole line of him not being a dick anymore was great.
I thought it was funny with him, like, I always knew you were a brother to me, and he's like, oh yeah.
Or how about when MODOK's like, at least I die an Avenger, and like,
they're like, yeah.
You're in.
You're in.
I loved that.
Yep. She's like, oh yeah, sure, you're good. Again, that's why I thought the comedy was good when it hit. Like, I really did. I thought
there were more hits and misses in comedy in this movie than there were in most recent.
I just don't.
MCU
I don't
projects.
know why they didn't like it. That's what I don't. I think
they're getting tired of it, man. I think they're getting tired of.
Why
the
are you
MCU.
tired of something that has fucking 2 billion comics? Like,
I don't know. But at the same time,
are you not tired of fucking blue people with braided hair?
Well, to be fair, there's only been 2 movies. And
I understand that, but they're 7 hours long, and they're a million years to make, and they're awesome movies. Like, and by no means am I shitting on like whatever, but I'm like this is what I like. As a kid, we complained we didn't have enough Marvel. We didn't have enough Star Wars.
Right.
We didn't have enough DC.
Right.
Now we finally have the capability to do that, and people are mad about it.
I know. I don't
it doesn't make sense to me how the movies are dying. They are.
Right.
The theaters are dying. The movie experience is dying. People don't want to go to this shit anymore.
Yeah.
And this is what the critics are doing? Like, you're telling me that you're giving a better critic score to any of, like, episodes 7, 8, and 9 of Star Wars. Episode 7, I understand. Yeah. Because it's got the allure. Yeah, it's fine. And, like, you know, it kind of dragged you into, like, this new story. But
I thought Quantumania was better than The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
And The Last Jedi got outstanding reviews from the critics.
I just think critics are I think it's scam. I think part of this you could blame on, like... I mean, you know, you can go down a rabbit hole and you can say that maybe it's Evangeline Lilly and like I said, right? Like,
I really hope.
That's not it. I really hope that is not. And again, like that's not me saying it is. That's me just saying right. You could say it that way. Is this a ploy for DC to get bad reviews? Right? Like, how is DC getting these people to write bad reviews? Because think about it. Flash is supposed to be great.
Yeah, right.
If all of these DC movies start hitting and all these Marvel movies start missing, is that like the critics trying to bump that? Is that us?
I wouldn't hope that's the case either.
I hope it's not, but like, what happens with Guardians?
Oof.
Because if Guardians is bad...
Now I'm getting scared about Guardians.
If Guardians is bad, people are going to freak out. But I don't think Guardians is going to be bad because I think it's going to amplify how people feel about DC. So then I think the thing after Guardians, which is... It's not Secret Wars, that's before it, right?
I'm not too sure when Secret Wars is getting released.
Secret Invasion. Secret Invasion. Yeah, I thought I saw it prior.
Maybe May?
I thought I saw it prior, and then what's it called is June or July.
Loki.
No, Guardians. When is
Guardians is in May.
But regardless, part of me is thinking that movie's automatically gonna not automatically. It's a good series. It's a good show. I think they're gonna do a very.
It's prone to getting.
I think they're gonna do very
reviews.
Good with it. No, I think it's purposely gonna get good reviews. Again, tinfoil hat.
Yeah.
I think it's purposely gonna get good reviews because then James Gunn is now the head of DC.
Right.
Making people go, we have belief in him now. And then the next Marvel movie might not be as good, and people are going to be like, oh, it's the James Gunn effect. You know, they haven't had a good movie since this movie.
Yeah.
You know, Loki's good.
It can either be two things. They're either James Gunn dick riders, or they have some sort of agenda where they want DC
I think these people just have agendas. Part of it is because I think that you're right. Like, well, no, I think it's that they're saying it's saturated, and it's like, stop. Yeah. What, like, I understand if Marvel had a different project every month. If you had fucking 25 projects in a year and shit like that. But
what don't these it was last year?
But what don't people get, bro? This is how these companies make money.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
These people will order something off Amazon every day from people that are like have child labor working for Amazon, but then they'll complain about the movie industry giving us too much content.
Yeah, that doesn't make much sense.
I did
see though that Marvel is cutting back on the release of shows.
Yes, I did see that.
Apparently, there's only 2 getting released
this year, right? It's
Loki and Secret Invasion.
Yeah. Well, they pushed
compared to last year where there was
the Marvels a movie or is
the Marvels is a movie which got delayed to November. I saw
that. They pushed that.
That poster was pretty cool looking. I like.
Yeah, but that in November is going to be interesting because is that the last project of the year?
It is. I'm not excited at all for the Marvels.
Kang's just kill them all off.
I don't know.
But that's another thing. Miss Marvel, I don't think they like her.
Who?
Isn't she a Carol Danvers who is Brie Larson?
Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel, sorry.
Captain Marvel.
Don't they not like her? Isn't she a pain to work with or something like that?
I don't know. I don't know anything about that. I know the public aren't the biggest fan of her as Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
Miss Marvel, the show is pretty good. I actually really like the girl who plays her. I think she did a fantastic job as Miss Marvel. And then there's Photon, who was in WandaVision, who I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know, but anyway.
Well, when they pushed back Echo, that was the other one.
Yeah,
and stuff
Echo
like that.
and Agatha were both supposed to come out this year.
I watched something that someone said that no one wanted Echo or Agatha to come out, and like, I don't necessarily disagree, but like I don't mind Agatha. I think that could be a good show. I think
that's going to be great.
I think it's going to be a really fun show. Echo, I could care less about, but I think Echo. But
the only reason why I'm going to watch Echo is because Daredevil's going to be in it.
Agreed, but like some people are pissed. Some people are giving the whole like woke thing about that. Like, but I personally, because she's a female, I think she's a Latin female deaf actress. Like,
I mean, You see, people will grab
But that's what I'm saying. People will grab onto anything. And it's like, I personally like the representation. I think that's appropriate because there's never been someone that's represented well in the ASL community.
Why not do that?
That is cool.
Yeah.
Everything else is like, you're going to make an argument that another woman got a role. Bro, like, this is not 1905. Like, I'm not saying that I don't disagree where, like, the wokeness of, like, the female thing needs to stop at certain points. But, like, a woman can get a role.
Oh,
like, that's allowed. But, like, I feel like there's a whole part of another agenda of people that are like, oh, well, like, why can't Echo be a man? It's like...
Because guess what, bro? She wasn't a man in the comics.
Like, shut the fuck up. Like, I know, but like it. But it's just like it's. You know how it is. Like, even people. I saw people excited about Wakanda Forever. They're like, oh, not enough men in the movie.
What?
Like,
that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous,
bro. Like, what? It's like. But this is why, like, nothing we have can just like be cool.
No, nothing could be settled
like,
or anything.
It's
like
always
that.
a fucking problem, man. Like, it's just like
sometimes it's fun, other times it's like really annoying. Like, why are you even bringing this up?
Like, I think I've said this.
I love arguments for movies,
yeah,
like that.
But like
them, but
it's
like that.
Marvel people are starting to turn into Star Wars people, and I don't. As a Star Wars fan, I don't want that because, like, I know how bad. And again, like, I said it with I don't want to. I don't remember who the actress was, the female in episodes 8 and 9 that played Poe's Finn's
the Poe's partner in Saving the Animals.
Yes, correct.
I don't know.
I forgot her name, but Asian American actress. I guess that's the appropriate way to say it.
Right.
People were just like shitting on her. It's like, bro, like it's her. Like, it's not her.
No,
she was given a fucking script. She was given a script.
Yeah, that's it.
And like, I think I've said in the past, like, I didn't think she was a necessary character, but I think that movie was god awful. It's insane to watch that movie, knowing what Rian Johnson has done with other movies, and see that just pile of dog shit. Yeah. But that's...
Well, you want to know what I saw people tweet about episode 8?
8, yeah.
That it was a good movie, but not a good Star Wars movie. Which I agree with. When I first... Because not as the biggest Star Wars fan, when I watched episode 8, I actually enjoyed it.
Episode 8 would have been a good episode 12.
Maybe just not any episode of Star Wars.
After the momentum of episode 7, you needed more of a solid landing and grow and continuation, and it didn't really feel like that's what it was. No. It more felt like it kind of plateaued. It had really good visuals and a very lackluster storyline, and then from episode 8, you had to go into episode 9, and instead of them, where they already fucking doubled down with different directors in 7 and 8, instead of going with the different director and the scripts that were really good, that were really well written, that made a better storyline, they were like, Palpatine's back, he's a ghost.
No, I thought that was ridiculous.
Not to make it a Star Wars rant right now. It is what it is.
I have a question for you. Do you think there are more Star Wars fans nowadays or Marvel fans now?
Marvel.
I would agree.
Because Marvel, I think Star Wars is a very, like, cult-like following of, like, certain things. But, like, think about it. Someone's going to go watch Quantumania with their significant other, but no one's going to, like, put on the TV and watch Clone Wars. Might put on Mando.
Sure.
Might put on, but even Andor. Andor, people should have been watching Andor. Andor was a great fucking show.
I heard that was great.
Andor was fantastic. People should have been watching Andor, but they weren't.
Yeah.
They were watching X, Y, Z, stuff like that. So, I'm not too concerned with it. Again, I just think it's like, I can't put my finger on why people are shitting on it so bad. It is not the best Marvel movie.
Thankfully, Ant-Man was received well by the public.
But
thankfully.
But like that's what aggravates me. It's like, it is so divisive now to like a movie, right? Like,
well, Marvel's been divided lately with their movies. Doctor Strange 2 was very divided.
I didn't think it was that bad.
No, I didn't think it was that bad either. But some people don't like it
because they're idiots.
Or they were just disappointed that it wasn't as good as the first, because the first one is beyond levels better than Multiverse of Madness. Beyond levels.
Oh, yeah, better. But it's so annoying because it's like, if you don't stick to the exact script with this person being white or this person being black or this person being this, or
I don't think that's what people
no, but in general, I'm saying
pissed about.
Not mainly, but I'm saying that's one side of the coin. It's like, if you didn't stick to the chronological exact time that this person showed up, you have the OG heads that are pissed off. Then you have the people that are like, I don't care, I went to the movies, it was a good movie. And then you have the people that are nitpicking it because it's like, oh, well, I would have used a different lens because this was a better shot. And then you have the people that are like, oh, well, it's too diluted, there's too many characters. It's a Marvel movie.
Yeah.
It's a Marvel movie.
That's what you're getting into.
You gotta know that's what you're getting into. Like, I'm sorry it's not the Titanic. My bad. My bad.
I'm sorry that it's not a singular story and that's it.
My bad it's not 3 billboards outside Ebbings, Missouri. No one complained about when everything all at once always...
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, no.
When that had a million things going on, it's A24. It's A24.
Yeah.
And I love A24, don't get me wrong, but it's A24. Oh, but as soon as Disney does, the mouse, man, that mouse is putting so... The sooner people realize that Disney, Marvel, Pixar is a money grab to get people to buy things and to consume more content and just turn your brain off when it comes to this shit, the better we'll be. Like, I'm not saying you can't not love this movie. Like, you can keep this movie in the high 50s to 75s. I have it at a 70, between 70 and 75. That's like where I sit with it.
I'd give it a solid 7.
Yeah, I'd give it like a 7 out of 10. Yeah. Like I'm teetering between like 68 to 78 just because I loved the Kang parts, but like, was it a little bit too long? Probably. Did it need as much filler? Yeah.
I didn't think it was that long.
I didn't think it was either.
You know who I thought was going to really annoy me? Cassie.
Yeah.
And I actually loved her in the movie.
There were a ton of people complaining about her.
I know. I wish
they revealed her
superhero name.
But it was funny because then they said they didn't like her because she got arrested for protesting.
When she said that line, I was like, oh god, I could see people fucking.
Oh yeah. As soon as I heard that, I almost wanted to walk out of the theater and be like,
yeah.
I can't believe this girl. Like,
yeah, dude, I know,
bro. It's San Francisco. Did you not think that was gonna happen? Like. Oh my god, but it's like people get mad with the dumbest shit, and it's like that's how you but people allow that to be the reason they don't like the rest of the movie.
I know. It gets in their way.
What?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
I just think, and like in the nicest way possible, as I scream at all of you.
No, yeah, we've been ranting and complaining about people. You know what I mean? Like,
but it's just like,
but I get it though. We get.
It's valid though. It's valid though because like. Prime example, I'll use Matt Ellis. Matt hates anything that's like Marvel has. 90% of it.
Yeah.
We enjoyed this movie. He would shit on this movie it's no one's business.
I mean, before he probably even sees
it.
Chance
but that's not because I think he will for the most part he'll kind of be a little open-minded about it. Now fully. Matt,
yeah. I think he is open-minded about most of them. He's just not a fan of Marvel.
But I think
he likes Civil War.
But
he likes Civil War.
It's the top movie. It's a top.
It's one of the top movies. But liked it.
Regardless, I think part of it is that a lot of these haters of the Marvel or Disney or whatever category, the comic book category, they don't give it a fair shot because they're like, oh, it's a comic book movie.
Well, that's fine because that might just not be for them.
But that's why
horror movies aren't for them.
But that's why I'm saying it's not fair though, because I go into these movies with that notion before I watch it. I don't watch this knowing I'm gonna watch the Oscar.
Right.
I'm not watching this hoping that I'm gonna cry because the whale.
Right.
That's not what I'm watching. Right. I go because I want a fun time. I want to watch it with my fiance. I want to watch it with my friends. I want to watch it with myself and have a good time. But I know that's what I'm going for.
Yeah.
So I'm not focused on worrying about a certain way.
Yeah, right.
And that's what I don't like about what we're at the climate now. Is like reviewers will be like, "Oh, gotta go watch Ant-Man."
Yeah. Already having a stigma in there.
You're at a 50 right there because you just said it like
Without
that.
doubt.
So instead of you starting at 100, because that's what you should go into every movie thinking, even though you know it's not going to be in 100, you should think of the movie as this and work your way down, not at a 40 and then work your way up. Because instead, I'd rather them be at 100 and then, I didn't love it. And
for the critics, absolutely.
For critics, for the fans, they should have lower expectations and then work your way up.
Yes,
for critics, they should have higher expectations and work their way down.
Yes.
Again, it's the glass half full, glass half empty kind of concept. But it's just like, a critic goes in with oh my God, this could be terrible. And then it is. The same way as Love and Thunder got more praise than it should have because people love Taika Waititi. They went in, I love Taika. Yep. He's amazing.
Yep. That's right.
Wasn't that good.
It wasn't that good.
So, terrible,
just
actually, people need to I didn't think it was terrible.
I thought it was pretty bad.
Terrible.
It was a bad movie.
I put Thor 2 as the worst movie. And that's
I thought Love and Thunder was
You think it's the worst Marvel movie?
No, worst
Marvel
Thor movie.
No, worst Marvel movie.
No, the worst Marvel movie is probably Iron Man 2, maybe.
I think Thor 2, and then Iron Man 2, and then Iron Man 3, and then work your way up. Even Eternals, I think, is...
Eternals is better than
all of those
Iron Man 2.
But it's as
Thor,
you,
the Dark
but
World.
also as the brand grows, you can do more. Like Iron Man 2 and 3 don't have the CGI. They don't have the.
That's also not saying that.
No.
They were that bad.
But people are also mad because it's like those movies. Yeah. But Thor 2 and then Iron Man 2, Iron Man 3, those movies didn't have that many characters, and that's why another reason people are like, oh well, it was better back.
I'm sorry that you're confused of all the stuff that's going on. Maybe you should have been paying more attention to it.
Oh my God, dude.
Let's talk about post-credit scenes. I liked both post-credit scenes.
Awesome.
The first one, a little confused about.
So that's from all the breakdowns I've done after the fact. That's the collection of Kangs or the conference of Kang, whatever the hell it is.
Gather them all
so
together.
Those 3 Kangs apparently are the main 3 Kangs in the comics in there, and apparently I think there's 4 variations of it. It's Kang, Tut. I did a whole bunch of research. I'll send it to you after this.
Yeah.
Those 3 Kangs are the main Kangs now that can kind of control over or oversee the Council of Kangs.
Okay.
Someone brought up the point of in Loki, there's 3 Kangs on the walls.
There was the 3.
One statue is broken.
Right.
Which is Kang the Conqueror.
Uh-huh.
So someone brought up the fact that those 3 Kangs sit on the High Council with Kang the Conqueror, the all-knowing one that was in Loki.
Yes.
He is not on the council, but he oversees kind of everything and is I guess let's say the accountant of the group.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So basically, the Kang the Conqueror was banished at that point. This movie takes place kind of in that same realm, right? He's banished, then causing those Kangs to then be in charge. But in the movies, or in the comics, there's a part of that goes that Kang the Conqueror comes back and manipulates one of them.
Oh.
Into wanting, whatever to happen. Yup, something else to happen among the Kangs, divide them, and then he comes back and takes rule again, kind of a thing.
I hope they explain this better moving forward.
Yeah, Kang is more difficult than Thanos because Thanos is
the Infinity Stones was way more linear. We're talking the multiverse, which goes in all different sorts of directions.
I don't know exactly how they're going to be able to do it, though. Sadly enough, part of this might kind of fall onto that. And that's another part of my gripe. Phases 1 through 3 were very grounded, phases 1 and 2 were very not spacey, travel-y, stuff like that.
The only space movie was Guardians from phase 1 and 2.
But now we're getting into a bigger universe.
Exactly.
The quantum realm, the metaverse, all of this shit that's going on. So it's by the time we get to frickin' Galactus, are people gonna be mad? It's you can't be mad. We are literally going from Earth to multiple planets, to multiple universes, to multiple galaxies.
Yeah,
that's the point.
Yeah.
It's growing this universe of what they would be. So then when I see that people do that, it's bro, what? How are you mad about this? It's.
Did Did you I actually heard this from the guy that I watched, John Campy, on YouTube. The writers that they hired to do most of these multiverse movies are Rick and Morty writers, which sounds great on paper.
I didn't know that, but
because they deal with the Council of Ricks,
of
everything
course.
like that. So Kevin Feige probably thought, all right, these guys know what they're talking about. Meanwhile, some of the scripts in some of the movies, like Multiverse of Madness, were kind of mediocre.
Yeah, they're fine.
So it's a flip of a coin with them.
Well, it almost should be like the Rick and Morty guys should have kind of like somewhat of creative oversight, but you should probably have someone else writing the scripts, because like I think they can.
I agree.
I think they can understand and kind of navigate what the baseline is, but then when it comes to the nitty gritty and the deeper content, I think you need someone more affiliated with Marvel, the comics, the storyline. This
guy wrote Quantumania, and he's writing Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars. You need
more of a Dave Filoni in this same sense. I've said this about Marvel. Feige is great in the role, but they need kind of like a consultant, which there's not really one in my knowledge of. But like Dave Filoni was doing Clone Wars. He came from Billy and Mandy and Avatar, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Adventures of Billy and Mandy?
I thought he had some involvement of that.
Represent.
Yeah. Maybe I'm just seeing the shirt and I'm
You're just thinking.
But regardless, there was involvement there, right?
Yeah.
And then part of the other thing was the fact of like Dave Filoni is in love with Star Wars. Like, you kind of need someone for that for Marvel to kind of have that little bit of like, I want to say like, oh, like, no, like this person would not do that. They do this. This person would do that, not do this. And I think they have the right people doing it. I don't really see them messing up in spots, but how can you continue to enhance it? Because if you're getting a lot of this negative criticism, it's going to continue. It's not,
I agree. And they're set to write Secret Wars and King Dynasty right now. I do think they should get rid of them for those, because we're talking about the peak.
Keep them on, but don't use them fully. Like, there needs to be a divide. If there's two of them, there should be two other people helping write as well.
I agree.
Like, because look at how often you see people write a whole thing. Blade, you see someone write a whole script, and then how many directors? Blade's had 2-3 directors, has it not? Like,
and new scripts.
That's what I'm saying. So you need to kind of prepare yourself for shit like that, you know. So I don't know. I thought the first one was awesome to see the scale of Kang and how.
I agree.
Again, the best line in the movie, in my opinion, was "Have I killed you before?"
Yeah, are you the one with the hammer?
No, just not even. That was funny too, but like him going, "Have I?"
Funny. I thought that.
No, not funny. I didn't mean to say funny. I meant to say that was the best line of the movie.
I agree.
Have I killed you before? Yeah. And then he was like, "What?"
Yeah, exactly. That was great. That was great.
But that explains how they don't understand the magnitude of how Kang understands. I control all of this.
Right.
You are a blip.
Yeah, there you go.
I did there?
Yeah.
You are a blip in the timeline of what's going on.
Yeah.
So all of those Kangs are from different universes, but the cool thing about it is like all of the Kangs are aware of their surroundings and their timelines, where for the most part, humans don't understand. There's
really
variance.
No one else.
No one else understands except Loki understands the variance in their different timelines are as powerful. So that's what part of Kang's power comes from, is the fact that he has such a wide reach on all of his Kangs, basically knowing they're like as powerful as they are with everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then the second.
And then, speaking of Loki, I was about to say, that had me so hyped.
Season 2 is going to be so good.
Season 2 is going to be sick. We're
Season
gonna see
2...
multiple Kangs, I think, in Season 2.
Season 1 and Season 2 of Loki could be in Tier 1 of Marvel content, my opinion.
The first season of Loki was extremely good.
Yep.
Great. I thought it was very good. That's another one that was divisive by some people, but anyway.
Why was it divisive? It was an awesome show. It was a great show.
I don't know.
Too many women.
I guess
too many women.
But
too much comedy.
In that post-credit scene, seeing Loki and Mobius, Owen Wilson, in that old timely fashion,
and Mobius still has no clue, which is great.
Yes, that's right. You could tell that was the other Mobius.
Well, because dude, I am so excited. I think Loki's going to be awesome. I think it's going to be amazing. So I'm buckled up and ready to go.
All right, let's move on to our main topic.
How long do we talk about that?
40 minutes.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
All right, let's get into our main topic here. I guess this is really the subtopic, really. But top 5 stand-up comedians. I have some honorable mentions, but before I even get into that, I wanted to say what I think about stand-up comedians to begin with. I think they have it rough right now. I think a lot of people are so sensitive over everything, and they get easily offended over jokes. And I mean, I guess some things could be legitimate, but I think it's ever since that Will Smith slap at the Oscars that some people, I've just been seeing more and more videos of hecklers, and hecklers have always been around.
Yeah.
But I feel like they're getting more and more intense ever since that Will Smith slap. I don't know. That's just me, but I think they have a hard time right now.
I personally think though that we live in such a shit society where I have so much faith in humanity, which is unfortunate for me. But I am able to divide life, right? Here's my thing. When it comes to politics, when it comes to religion, when it comes to all these different things, I do my absolute best to keep all of these things out of it.
Yeah.
So, when the divisive stuff was happening in the NFL, I was trying my best to stay uninvolved because guess what? The NFL is something I enjoy, it's something I love, and I try to separate it.
Yeah.
Same thing with movies.
Right.
I try to separate it, and I wish more companies, brands, an unfortunate thing that a lot of companies do. As soon as Pride comes, they put their logos up, and then as soon as it ends, they take them down. There's no added backing. And I'm not saying that's me not supporting it, that's supporting it, whatever it is, right?
No, right.
I'm just saying that's a shitty way that, in my opinion,
it's more of just being a face.
It's just for the attention.
Yes,
it's not like they're actually doing to benefit.
Yeah.
Now, on the other side of the coin, I don't like when people shove these things down your throat, because you should be able to make your decisions on what you like, what you don't like, how you feel, how you don't feel about things going on. The NFL, movies, shit like that. So
I shouldn't have to feel bad about myself.
With comedies, you're going to a comedy show.
Yeah.
What'd I just say right there?
You're going to a comedy show.
Now, again, if someone was just harassing you because you're missing an arm for 40 minutes just at you, that's fucked up. That's fucked up.
Yeah.
If someone is making fun of you, are you illegal? Are you this? Are you... For 50 minutes.
Pinpointing
someone, that's different. That's different.
If you're talking about the general audience or a general group of people.
Yeah.
That's fine.
If you make a joke about Jewish people and going to the extreme side, I get that. But you can still teeter and be a little bit offensive and it be funny. Yes. That is the point.
Right. Right. Because it's all jokes.
That's comedy.
End of the day.
If Dave Chappelle went on a 20-show tirade of him just making fun of Jewish people, then you could kind of sit back and be like, all right, is there a problem here? Right? But if you're going to a comedy show, number one, part of it is they have a skit, so they follow it.
Yeah.
Number two, a lot of the time, for the most part, they make fun of the people there and then the people that they interact the most with, and then themselves.
Yes.
If they're black, if they're white, if they're Asian, they like to stick in those kind of lanes.
Right. And I think it's also important for a comedian to cover all the grounds, cover all the groups of people.
Look at how comedy would be if people like some of the OGs, greatest comedians of all time, if they were silenced the way that we try to silence comedians now. There would be no such thing as comedy. You wouldn't have comedy the way it is. We'd be in a very bland world.
Stand-up comedy might not have existed.
Stand-up comedy would not. I really don't think it would be. It would not have its desire. To do it. Yeah. Now look, you have a lot of people that can get away with certain things, right? Mm-hmm. Like Sebastian Maniscalco does a very good job with his whole Italian bit.
Yeah,
people love that. Yeah. The doorbell and the Chipotle ordering, and he knows his audience now, and he's very good at it. And a lot of these comedians have picked that, I'm going to make fun of things that have happened to me, which makes it funny.
They find their niche,
and we connect with it, and that's part of why it's awesome.
Right.
But if you're going to a comedy show and you leave and you're like, I was really offended by that. It's why'd you go to a comedy show, man? The point is to get a laugh out of it. There's bad comedians. Like, if you go to a bad show and it's just like the jokes aren't sticking and the person's like, how about the color of that guy?
Yeah, right.
That's not funny.
No.
But like if there's a funny joke, you shouldn't be able to, like, you shouldn't have to go through your brain and be like, was that offensive? Was that racist? Was that offensive? Was that racist? You
shouldn't be second guessing.
Like, if it's funny, it's funny, and that, like, that's part of the reason that, like, comedians exist.
Yeah. I can't stand some of the TikToks and clips that I watch of these hecklers getting so offended and basically stopping the show. From the comedian saying his jokes, and it's like, it's unbelievable. Why were you even there to begin with?
We as a society, because some people go to these things for that. To do yes. We need to, as a society, understand. I say this. This is just becoming a ranting podcast for me. It's the same thing as politics. It's the same shit.
Yeah.
You don't have to agree.
Exactly.
But the great thing about the system we live in society, is that it is not one or the other way.
Right.
Everyone is convinced it is, you're Republican, you're Democrat, you're racist, you're not racist, you're Catholic, you're everything else. You're That's not how life works.
Right.
Or not even Catholic and whatever. You're religious and you're atheist.
No, right. I got what you were saying.
It's just so annoying, though, that we live in this society now that, like, one side of the coin is offended by everything. One side of the coin is mad because there's stuff that they'll go to the farthest far and be offensive, and then they're like, well, you shouldn't take that offensively. Well, when you get that far out, you should, because that's being a bad person.
Yes, right.
But you can still teeter, and again, you can have a comedy where it's like, oh, that joke was kind of fucked up, but it was funny. Like, think about the Pete Davidson joke. Pete Davidson makes 9/11 jokes all the time, but he's America's sweetheart.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, he's everyone loves him because his dick is huge, and But, like, do you know what I mean? Like,
I know. I know.
It's a devil's advocate. It's hypocritical to be like that. People that do deserve to get canceled. I don't know, Bill Cosby. I don't know, Chris D'Elia.
Yeah.
People that have
Chris D'Elia's back. You see that?
Yeah, but he's not, like, back.
He's not back.
He's not. He was.
But he's back in the.
But remember how big he was.
Yes.
And then after
whatever.
But that's because, again, now if they're just allegations, there's no proof. Then, like, let me bite my tongue.
I'm not too sure what the whole case is.
I thought it was like child stuff. I
heard that too.
Which, again, if we want to go into an Epstein-like thing right now, we'll spend another 2 hours on an episode of
crazy. All right, so I don't know if it's allegations or it's proof or whatever with the whole child stuff with Chris D'Elia. He played that kind of guy in You?
Yeah.
Before he got...
That's what everyone was saying.
I was like, oh my God.
A lot of people think that he played that guy in You, and then, like, people that watched it that were involved were like...
He's too good at this.
Well, no. The girls that he was going after.
Oh.
Like, people think... So, like... He was going after younger women, right? If that's the allegation or whatever it was.
Yeah.
They were watching You, and they were like, this is exactly what happened to me. With him. So people think that's how it got out, is because they watched him do it, and they're like, wait, time out. Do people know about it?
Right.
And if they do, why are they not doing anything about it?
He shot himself in the foot there, but good that happened.
Yeah, good. I mean, good to bring it to light. Again, if everything gets... where they were trying, because again, it's a slippery slope.
It is.
A lot of these people, not even women, men, they go after these powerful people and say, oh, this person raped me, this person, and that is not to say at all that there's not truth to a lot of these cases, but there's sometimes situations where these people are going after the person,
of course,
right? Like the Deshaun Watson thing with the NFL. He's a quarterback for the Browns. He was a quarterback for the Texans. He was basically having massage therapists.
Oh, yes, I do remember.
But, like, it wasn't just one count. It was, like, 28.
Yeah.
So now, mind you, there's probably a lot of them that kind of jumped, not to say that they did, but there might be a few that were like, I'm going to jump on the bandwagon. I gave him a massage one time, and, like, he didn't really push me, but, like, it wasn't really comfortable, right?
Yeah.
That do it. But if there's that many, there's one. My opinion.
I agree with
Harvey Weinstein. Look at Harvey Weinstein. Nobody was doing anything.
I like that.
No one was doing anything about that because they were covering it up, right? The entire time they were covering up and backing him,
right? Because he was so powerful, and
right?
everything like that.
There was that one person that was doing it, that kept trying to push it, and it was like there were so many other people that uncovered it, but were too scared to do it. And I understand situations like that.
Yeah.
Now again, we're not trying to get into a whole episode about that shit.
Right.
But it just goes to show, it's like, I think as a society, need to be better at being like, you're innocent until you're proven guilty. Even when these terrible, awful things happen, right? But not only that, it is gray.
Yeah.
And like, I live and die by like I've said it a million times on the pod. My grandfather said it all the time. Everything is subject to change. That is life. One day you're going to wake up and be pissed at one side. One day you're going to wake up and be like, you know what? I kind of understand why they do that. One day you're going to do this. One day you're going to do that. But every day you should be going into the world understanding that life is not as simple as you fucking read your script, you write through it, and you're done. And that's why one of my favorite movies of all time, if not my favorite movie of all time, is The Truman Show. Because people don't realize they want it to be so scripted in life, and that's not how life should be. You should live a life that is like that.
Yeah.
Don't take offense to everything that happens. Don't do this stuff. Now, it's easier said than done, but don't sit there and be mad about this stuff when you paid money to go to a comedy show.
I agree.
That is the
moral of the story there.
Exactly. And again, you will cross that line. People will cross that line.
Sure.
But and if you didn't like one joke, that's okay. But do you cancel a guy because you didn't love one joke?
No.
You shouldn't.
Yeah,
if it's far enough, right? But then it gets, you get into that tricky. Is it
gray
too
area.
far? When does it get too far?
Yeah.
I get that.
You got to read the crowd. They got the
100%,
which they have to be good at to be a stand-up.
But if you go and you're
one.
like, you know what, I didn't love that one line that he had, and then you go on, like, let's say Twitter or Facebook, whatever, and you watch and you like see if anyone else did. Oh, am I maybe just looking too far into this? Oh, maybe. Right. Oh, did a lot of other people not like that joke? Okay, maybe that wasn't a great joke. Let me think back on the joke. Was it really that offensive? Was he trying to be? But I get it. I get that, yeah. But again, comedies are just like movies, just like NFL, just like sports. Like, it's turn your brain off shit to enjoy. And we have turned it so much more into a political, 100%. Racial, religious fight where it doesn't need to be. Not that people don't cross the line.
I think we're at a point now where it's there's no going back.
No, of course. It's only getting worse.
It's only getting worse.
All
right, I'm going to get into my honorable mentions. I have 6 of them.
Yeah, do it.
So these first 2 are Dane Cook and Jeff Dunham.
Okay.
I put them on there because I loved them as a kid. I watch them now.
The best.
I watch them now. It's like, all right, I understand why I liked them so much as a kid because I don't like them as much anymore.
Oh, dude, yeah. I was going to say they were like honorable mentions of mine that like I loved them when we were at that age.
Yeah.
But comedies are kind of like, movies and kind of like, right? Like
some age well, some don't.
Well, like we still love our Pixar movies, but like we loved them more when we were kids, of course, right? Of course, yeah. But like you're also gonna watch like the cartoon Batman as you're a kid.
Yeah.
Now you're gonna watch. You're gonna be like, it's okay, but like you're gonna rather watch Batman Begins or Batman, Dark Knight. So they didn't age as well as.
But that's not saying that Dane Cook and Jeff Dunham aren't good.
No, Dane Cook was
fantastic.
A lot of people think Dane Cook is kind of why Kevin Hart has had so much success. The yelling, the scream, and the screaming, because like
for sure he was wacky.
Dane Cook used to just like scream on stage, and not to say Kevin Hart, like that's not me saying he took his thing, like they're different comedians, but like a lot of people say, like similar to Will Ferrell, like Will Ferrell has a very like, but that's always been his character, you know.
Jeff Dunham is also still doing great right now. He has his own show on Comedy Central right now with the puppets and everything like that. He's doing pretty well for himself. But like once again, like I loved him more as a kid. That's why they're on honorable mentions. These next 2 are kind of like up and comers. Mm-hmm. They've been discovered on like TikTok and everything like that. Trevor Wallace.
Yep.
Love Trevor Wallace.
I love Trevor Wallace.
His skits is more funny than his stand-up.
Correct. 100%.
I love Trevor Wallace.
Yes, he's very funny.
And Matt Rife, have you ever heard of him?
I haven't heard of Matt Rife, no.
You've definitely seen, though, clips of on TikTok. They all of his clips are going viral.
Oh, okay,
because
yeah.
they're hilarious.
I'll have to look. Yeah,
pretty jacked, good looking guy, white dude, and that's all he makes fun about for the most part about how he's white and everything. Like it's funny. It's really funny. So those two up and comers, I put them on honorable mentions, and then these next two on honorable mentions are people who I think are funny and I like them a lot, but their stand up isn't the best. I don't think so. Theo Von.
Yep.
Theo Von, I think he says some of the stupidest shit sometimes, and it's hilarious.
That's why it's funny.
He doesn't even realize it.
No, yeah, that's why it's funny.
Shit out, and that's why it's funny. And Joe Rogan.
Okay.
Joe Rogan, my favorite podcast in the world besides this one, and it, you know. I don't think his stand up is really that good at all.
No, it's not good.
Yeah,
not that good. I like Joe Rogan because I'm a UFC guy. Like, I know Joe Rogan prior to Fear Factor. Like, I know Joe Rogan is like... Joe Rogan was a huge UFC guy and is still a huge UFC guy and is an amazing analyst because he understands the game and he does a really good job. That's part of the reason his podcast has gotten so successful.
That's without a doubt.
You know?
That's without a doubt.
I have a couple.
Yeah.
I had Sebastian on mine and Andrew Schultz.
Ooh, Andrew Schultz. I
love Andrew Schultz. I loved Andrew Schultz has a new special that me and Kayla watch, and it is offensive, but it's hilarious.
He's great because he picks out people. That's all he does sometimes.
He was so funny in the special that we just watched, and I love during the pandemic he was doing very unbiased news reporting. So I don't know if you watched any of that stuff. I'll send you some videos. It's it's on his Instagram and I think his like YouTube.
Oh, okay.
He would do basically these long skits of him doing news reports and talking about why both sides were fucked.
Oh, I love that.
Awesome.
Love that. Yeah.
Awesome. Louis C.K. only because I have not watched a lot. I think he's canceled or I think he's coming back.
He's coming back now.
But was super canceled.
Yes. Yeah.
I have heard he's one of the top comedians of all time, but I don't know his stuff as much.
Recently he was on Rogan just recently.
Yeah,
too.
and he was on Parks and Rec, right?
He was in the very beginning.
Yes, he was Leslie's love interest or whatever.
Yes, in the very beginning.
So these next two, Andrew Santino, he's on the podcast with, oh my god, the guy from Mad TV. Eddie
something Lee, right?
I think he's Eddie. Regardless, they're on a podcast together. Yeah. He had a special that we just watched called Cheeseburgers.
Yes,
so
I know
funny.
Who you're talking
Bro,
about. Yes,
Netflix,
funny.
You should definitely watch it. It's very funny. It's a very very good one. And then Bill Burr. So only Bill Burr because I have not watched a lot of Bill Burr, but every time I watch him, he's hilarious.
Right.
My list is a little bit more old school, but I mean, I can't make a list without having
some of the
hyphens and extent. No. Like you know me. I pick a number one and I've got fucking four number ones. But part of it is because they're not as well known for their stand up in comparison to their comedy. So like Will Ferrell would be on mine. I would mention him, but I don't know of a stand up career from him. But I love Will Ferrell's comedy because I'm just loud, I'm obnoxious, I'm like, that's me. So I get it, but.
Well, that's why I put those guys as honorable mentions. I love them a lot, but just not for their stand-up. I'll do my number 5 and 4. You do 5 and 4.
Let's do it.
3-2, and
cool.
then 1-1. Okay, number 5. I mean, one of the greatest of all time, Dave Chappelle.
Yep.
I have him as my number 5 though because I haven't watched too much of him, but I have to put some respect on the name for him. I loved the Chappelle Show.
So funny.
And the great part about the Chappelle Show was that most of it was stand-up.
And it's offensive. And
it was just the bonus that there were skits included with it. The show was fantastic. He was an absolute genius for it. And I even respect him that he saw the media during that time and was like, all right, stuff is changing.
I'm out of here.
I'm out. Mm-hmm. And then he came back with a vengeance.
And then he came back with a vengeance, and then look what happened.
I know. It's fucked. Oh but much respect for Dave Chappelle. That's why he's my.
He is on my list.
5.
He is on my list.
Number 4. I thought this was a hot take for your honorable mentions, but I understand you haven't seen a lot of it. Bill Burr.
Yep.
Bill Burr does not give a fuck about anyone's feelings.
No, I agree, and I love that.
Anyone's feelings. I love that. He's great. He is great. And I mean, I'm not a sexist. I'm not
You are.
an incel or anything, but
You are.
the way he makes fun of women, bro, is the funniest thing to me.
You are. You're an incel.
I know.
You're
I
an
know.
incel.
I'm canceled.
You're
I'm
sexist.
an incel. Yeah,
I'm canceling you. The title of this episode should be Frank Gets Canceled.
Yeah.
Episode 115, Frank Gets Canceled.
But that's not the only thing that I love about him, though.
No, you're canceled.
Yeah, I'm trying to save myself now.
No, you can't.
Everyone,
like this and cancel him now. Comment canceled in the comments below.
no, Bill Burr's great. He's hilarious on Conan.
Yep.
On Conan's show, he's
I don't
hilarious.
love Conan, but
Conan's.
I know.
We're gonna get into that in another episode. The top 5 talk show hosts.
I don't know. Conan's always rubbed me the wrong way, but that's I'm not the biggest talk show guy.
God.
I'm not the biggest talk show guy.
Right.
Like I think all of them are like a little bit pretentious obviously.
Yeah.
Like I like Fallon, but that's because I like Jimmy Fallon. Like I think he's funny and he's just he's like me. He's just he's just all over the place.
We'll
but
save that for that episode for sure.
Don't worry, it's coming.
But Bill Burr, great on Rogan, great on Conan.
Yep.
He's great in Star Wars.
Yeah,
he's
Mando.
great in Mando, right.
Mando who could beat up Boba
But
Fett.
his stand-up is probably, and his podcast is great too, but his stand-up is so superior in everything, anything that he's done. So that's why he's my number 4.
Yep, cool. My number 5 is Chris Rock, and my number 4 is Jerry Seinfeld. So,
okay.
Seinfeld is partially because I haven't watched as much stand-up, but I love Jerry Seinfeld. I think he's hilarious. I think he's a very funny guy. I've watched some of his stand-ups, and I love that his stand-ups kind of start as the episode and finishes the episode when Seinfeld's there.
Yeah.
One of my favorite shows. I think it's hilarious. I think he's funny, but I think it's because he knows his audience and he knows that type of comedy.
Yeah.
That's part of how comedy works. My number 5 is Chris Rock. Chris Rock is hilarious. I always love when he plays these roles in movies. I think he's very funny. I think he's out there. I think he's crazy. I made Chris Rock laugh when I worked at Champs.
Yeah.
He came into the store one time.
Really?
He was looking at a pair of shoes, and I had made a joke towards him about the shoe or whatever. I was like, he was like, "Oh, are these the new Yeezys?" I was like, they'd be a lot bigger, a lot louder, and a lot more expensive if that was the case. And he laughed at it, and I was like, I'm done. I could just disappear now.
That is some
I made him laugh.
Major props.
So
major props. I never knew that. That's
swear to
fantastic.
God, I remember exactly where I was. I don't remember the date, but I know exactly where I was. I know where I was standing. I know what he did. It was.
So you're telling me
to
Chris
a T.
Rock was in our mall?
No, not.
Oh, okay. I was about to say
another mall.
Oh, okay,
He lives in Jersey, so
does he?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
North Jersey, I think, if I'm not mistaken, or he has a house here.
Right.
I know that. But,
right. Okay.
So those are my 5 and 4. Part of Jerry Seinfeld also is though too the allure of him. Like my parents used to watch Seinfeld when I was a kid. And my parents were like, "You can't watch it. You wouldn't understand," which I wouldn't have when I was a child.
Sure.
I wouldn't have understood the comedy. Yeah. But now I get it and I love it because it's just hilarious. So that's my number 5 and 4.
I never really watched Seinfeld that much, but why do most people always tell me? It's like, oh yeah, I mean the show's called Seinfeld, but he's the least funniest one in the show.
A lot of people say that. Well, a lot of Elaine is hilarious.
Right. And,
Kramer is canceled, but he's hilarious.
Yeah,
George
got canceled, yeah.
George Costanza's everyone's fit. Is every character is hilarious. I love how obnoxious Jerry is almost in the show, right? He's what are we doing? He does have shit like that, right? But I love that. That's his character. But again, part of it is the allure of I loving that. Is he a top 5 stand-up comedian of all time? Probably not. No, but this is. But I like him, and this list again is part of it is I didn't put, for example, a Bo Burnham on my list. I've barely watched any of his stuff, but I've heard he's the funniest, he's the best of this stuff.
I'll get into him later, yeah.
But again, it's I can't put him on my list because I haven't watched that much of him.
Right.
But these are people that I've watched enough of that I'm okay, that's why I think they're funny on that part. But
all right,
that's my 5 and 4.
My number 3, Anthony Jeselnik. I don't know if you know him.
Yeah.
He's on most of the Comedy Central roasts, and he has his stand-up specials. Dude, I think he's one of the funniest guys ever, and it's because of his unique dark humor.
Yeah.
I have never heard some of the most dark jokes ever in my life besides coming out of that guy's mouth. Seriously. Mm-hmm. He is hilarious, I think, because of that.
I love the roasts.
The roasts are great. He's great on the roasts.
Yep.
But he and he's so smart with the way he tells his jokes.
Yep.
he'll start. It could start off like really nice, and then there'll be a twist where
it just turns into
meat.
360,
and it's so dark and sometimes disgusting.
And
kicking babies and
all that stuff.
A whole bunch of stuff. Yeah. So he's great. He has a couple of Netflix specials. If you haven't checked them out, check them out. It might not be for you, but I love it.
Yeah.
My number 2. I'm surprised this guy was on your honorable mentions, but Sebastian Maniscalco.
Yeah. I just don't think he's long enough into it yet. I love him. Really? Not that he's not into it long. 10 years, 15, yeah. But I look at some of... Okay, so part of it might also be I love his first couple skits. His most recent one, I personally watched it, and I just thought a lot of it was recycled.
Well, it's because of the gestures and the way he talks. It all seems the same.
No.
Well, that's how I feel about it, at least.
No, because I love his gestures. I think he's funny with that.
It's great.
I personally think, watch it and tell me I'm wrong, and I'll bite my tongue. The latest one, if you watch his, I think it's his doorbell one, there's very similar skits in it. How it happens, like him and his dad doing something almost identical to how he wrote it back then.
Yeah.
Now, I love his stuff. I still think he's hilarious. I just watched his most recent one. I was like, I feel like he's said this before. Okay. Not that he's done it, because again, his motions, his mannerisms, I love that. I think it's hilarious.
Aren't you embarrassed? Like, that's one of the best lines ever.
1000%.
Yeah.
But if you watch them, I don't want to say he went and like just tweaked it a little bit and made it a new joke.
Yeah. But you feel like he kind of did.
Yes.
Which makes you think he's getting a little lazy, maybe.
More that he's, and this is not to say I love him.
No,
I think he's hilarious.
I get
but I guess I hold him to a higher standard.
Sure.
I wish he would, because again, it's like I watched that and I'm like, all right, well, like 75% of that seemed like it is not that new, or it seems like he's falling back on old ideals of how he tells a joke, how he does. You know what I mean? Where it's like he can rely on that craziness and tell funnier stories about his family and his kids, because now he's in a different part of his life where he was originally.
This is true.
You know, he didn't have kids. He was talking about his wife. He was talking about whatever. Now he's talking about his school and the pickup and stuff like that. I would have rode that the whole time.
Yeah.
The whole time. But like, he was talking about like the his dad peeing. Mm-hmm. He's done that in a previous skit.
Oh, okay.
You know, like but like almost identical. He's said that same thing in another one, like of that same mannerism of his dad doing it.
Yeah.
So that was part of the reason I was like, okay, I've heard you say this same thing before.
Okay,
and that's where
I haven't noticed that.
If you watch it, I think you would say.
I think I did. The one where like the doorbell rings.
Yes,
like,
the doorbell you watched. Have you watched his newest one?
I think I have on Netflix.
Yeah, it just came out recently.
Oh no!
There was a new one. There was a new one that just came out like a month or two ago.
Oh no!
I would go watch that, and if you watch that again, I'd maybe say go watch his old one first, and then watch it, and then tell me.
Okay.
Because again, not to say I don't love him though. I think he's hilarious, but that's just my opinion with it. So.
All right. Well, that was my number 3 and number 2.
Cool. My number 3 is Chappelle. Every reason that you said, he's my guy. I've watched him for so long. Yeah. I think he's hilarious. I think people, again, take his jokes to offend. Like, they take it too much to heart. He's telling jokes. I understand that you want to be woke and stuff like that, but part of it is that you have to make jokes on how our society is aging.
100%.
We are changing rapidly and having all these different, these things going on in life. That's how life works. Like, these things happen. You have to make fun of them. You have to be
aware of what's going on.
You can't have you can do all this, but you can't touch this. Like, you shouldn't be able to do that. Again, when you cross the line, which is hard to make it.
Yeah.
When you cross that line, I understand. Then you can be like, you said this person should have this cut off because...
Right.
Okay. Let's take a step back. Let's reevaluate maybe how you're doing it. But, again, you're supposed to teeter. That's comedy. You're supposed to teeter on the offensive and funny side.
Without a doubt.
My number 2 is a little bit of a tie. Robin Williams was part of it. Now, it's not necessarily because of his stand-up skits, similar to my number 1, but how he makes me laugh. Mm-hmm. I always make the sad, unfortunate joke that Robin Williams always prioritized other people prior to himself on how his comedy worked. And I think that was an amazing thing that he did. A very sad way for us to see him go.
Yeah.
That he was always more concerned about everyone else and making them laugh. And that's what makes me sad about knowing that so many people did not value the time that we had with him.
100%.
Because they were too focused on, like, he was not really, to my knowledge, didn't really offend people with his jokes. He was more just like loud and obnoxious and, whatever.
Yeah.
But it's like today's society, I think he'd be very sad to see how comedy is with how people take it.
I agree.
Because again, now part of him might feel the other way too, because part of it was like he always just wanted to make people laugh in whatever way he could.
Yeah.
But that's part of that. So my other two is Richard Pryor, one of the greatest comedians of all time.
Yes, this is true.
One of the people that paved the way for comedians now and how to be offensive and be a funny comedian, but also not be like PC and be offensive.
Yeah.
He's one of the greatest to ever do it.
I would put him in the same category of legends as like George
Carlin. George Carlin.
Yeah, George Carlin. Yeah, like same offensive
He's on my
type
list
of humor.
still, so use your imagination.
Okay,
but yeah, same kind of humor. But again, these are people that, in my opinion, they're on my ones and twos because they paved the way.
Sure.
And how they did it in that time was so ahead of the game. Where now, I don't necessarily think any comedians are ahead of the game. You know what I mean? Yeah. No one in comedy right now is doing something that you're like, oh my God. Like Chappelle in the 2000s, 90s, 2000s, whatever.
Took over the world.
That was
took over.
Revolutionary.
Yeah.
Same thing with these gentlemen when they were in their spots. So that's my number 2.
I would have put both those guys on my list if I saw
enough
more
of their
work.
stuff. Yep. My family, I've watched Richard Pryor skits. During the pandemic, I watched a couple more of them. So funny, man. So funny. Oh my God, so good.
I'll have to
definitely check it out.
My number 1, Bo Burnham, man.
Yep.
He is, first off, he's an inspiration.
Yep.
Because he's one of the very first successful blown-up YouTubers. Mm-hmm. And then he just rode along for the ride and was just successful through
the whole
every stage of it.
Yeah.
Doing stand-up and everything.
Yeah.
And the most important part of why he's my number 1 is because, like what you were saying about Robin Williams, he was just trying to make other people happy. So to give preference, if you don't know who Bo Burnham is, his whole stand-up specials and skits, it's all music.
Yep.
He makes songs.
Yep.
And they're funny, they're clever, they're hilarious. He has a song where he talks about how, he talks about the audience.
Yeah.
Part of me loves you, part of me hates you, part of me needs you, part of me fears you.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
That's good.
Incredible.
I've heard his special is amazing. I have to watch it. I still have yet to watch.
I believe
what is it called?
Inside.
Yes,
and
I've heard it's amazing. I heard it's not only really funny, but I heard it's very emotional, very well put together.
It was very well put together, but you could just tell
it's his emotion on his sleeve.
His mental state is just
deteriorating because of everything. Yeah,
yes.
It's understandable.
Absolutely. And he also brought up a great point on podcasts and talk show hosts at how YouTube is very hard to blow up nowadays.
Yeah.
Because it's so saturated with people that are already so successful.
Yep.
And they're the ones getting the views.
And even if you don't want to give credit to the Pauls, they're similar, right? Again, they were Disney stars prior, but they transitioned from Disney to YouTube or YouTube to Disney. Don't quote me on that.
No, definitely Disney to YouTube.
Right?
Yeah, without
and again, look at them now though. Regardless, love or hate them, I respect them. Yep, love or hate them, I respect them. I can't stand how they act sometimes, but I respect them. I don't like Jake Paul because I've watched fighting all my life. I've watched MMA all my life. So the kid can punch.
Yeah.
No, not downplaying that at all. He can throw a punch. But once you put him in the ring with a guy that's not retired or old, you put him in the ring with Anderson Silva, who's one of the greatest fighters of all time. Anderson Silva was a kickboxer and UFC fighter. You're just having him box now. Part of Anderson Silva's greatness was the kicks, was the this, was the that, the grappling, all these different things he could do. So yes, you're putting them on a one-way path to only be able to do that. But keep riding that wave. But also Logan Paul. A lot of people don't like Logan Paul, and I will be the first one to say I shit on him after the whole the suicide tree thing, YouTube thing. That was a bad look for him.
That was bad.
But he has come back with a vengeance.
He did.
And Impulsive is a pretty good show. Look at how he's grown his podcast. Yeah. And then not only that, I'm a wrestling fan, and now, when you just put someone in, like I've told people, I think Bad Bunny did a very good job. He's wrestled the past, 2 WrestleManias ago or 3 WrestleManias ago. Mm-hmm. He did a good job. He came in, he did his thing. He showed he can kind of, he wasn't doing too much, because I don't want to say he's the most athletic guy ever. He's not, but he was able to do a lot of moves that were very impressive. Logan Paul is about to headline WrestleMania, not headline, but he's about to be at WrestleMania again. Right. If you haven't seen any of the stuff he's been doing,
I've been seeing clips.
He had a Royal Rumble spot that he jumped across the ring and collided with another guy, and it was an insane move that some wrestlers can't even hit.
Well, he's extremely athletic. He's very talented,
and that's what. Yep,
he's very talented.
But part of this is also for the people that are sitting out there. As much as YouTube is saturated. If you put your mind to this shit, again, part of it is money, part of it is following, part of it is those things that, I get it. But, bro, chase your dreams. Like, you can pivot to this shit, you know? Like, we don't just do this, obviously. We hope one day this becomes something that we're just done with our careers with, you know? And, again, part of that is you guys watching and sharing and supporting and having other people follow it, even if they hate it, right? I love it. But part of it is that. So I agree with you, though.
But yes, check out Inside.
I'm going
Inside.
to.
It's
I
a
gotta
Netflix
watch
special.
it.
It's not your conventional stand-up special at all. He's not in front of a crowd during the thing. And please, Bo Burnham, please make more content. Please. He has millions of listens on Spotify.
I knew that. Yeah.
With some of the songs.
That's crazy.
Special. All right, so that was my number one, Bo Burnham, right there.
Cool. My number one, comedy side, is Jim Carrey.
Great choice.
Jim Carrey. This isn't my stand-up guy. This is my comedy side.
But he did do.
He's done stand-up. George Carlin is my number one. Okay. I watched George Carlin as a kid, and my parents told me about him as being one of the greatest comedians of all time. Again, another way that paved the way. One of the greatest skits of all time in comedy is I think it's the 7 Things You Can't Say on TV.
Yes. I've seen that.
So that is he had a documentary a little while ago that I watched, and it was so good. And it was just to show how, as time went on, he lost kind of his luster, because he was saying some of these things that, cock, piss,
shit.
Whatever it was. All these things you can't say. And it was hilarious because no one talked like that back in the day.
Right.
So it was part of that was so good was that he did that and he had that oomph to him, and it was, oh my God, it's different. So then as time changed and people started saying that stuff, again, it wasn't like you could do that same kind of a thing. But he is one of the guys that paved the way. I think he was so cool because he was a guy that never, in my opinion, conformed to what was going on. He never sold out. He was always like, I'm going to be me, and if you don't like that, which a lot of my comedians on here are like.
Yeah.
You could make the argument of Chris Rock, right? He's done more movies now. He's not doing as much stand-up.
Yeah.
But that's how times have went. But Dave Chappelle really hasn't ever sold out.
No.
You know, when he did his, people are like, oh, he sold out and he did his Netflix stuff. And it's like, you watched it and you're like, no, he didn't. Look at what he said. No, he did not sell out.
No, he didn't sell out. And even when he was getting shit, he stood up for himself.
100%.
Stood up for himself.
And again, that's my George Carlin side. Again, I won't go and say I've watched everything he's done, but I love the content that he's done. I think he's one of the greatest. And when you show homage, you're supposed to show homage to some of these greats. But Jim Carrey, again, is very similar to Robin Williams for me. I think he's another one of those guys that's very misunderstood. Very much,
Agreed.
very much comedy first, but also he tries to keep it real.
He keeps it real. He calls out Hollywood all the time nowadays.
And you know what? It's crazy because part of this whole woke thing that we've been talking about, not to bring in my guy or ex-guy, we're on a break, Kanye, but I don't know if you've been seeing or not, but they're saying that Adidas might bring him back on.
No, I didn't hear that.
Yep. So there's rumors rumbling around that Adidas might bring him back on. So the reasoning is because they're losing so much. They're losing so much money. Adidas has $500 million in stock of his products still. So if they're not able to sell that and they take this whole new route where they're going to make Yeezys without the Yeezy line, they're convinced that it could.
I bet you he's not even going to go back to them.
I don't know, bro. Money talks. Money talks.
Sure, money talks, but I don't think he gives a fuck about it.
I don't think he does either, but for the fact that he lost all of his deals, he might.
Yeah.
He can't make music right now. No one really wants to deal with him. He can't do this. No one. So, right, everyone's kind of off him a little. And that's not me saying anything. I'm still a little bit separated from it. I don't condone the shit he says.
Yeah.
I love and respect Kanye because he always speaks his mind, but I've always said I don't like that. Sometimes it crosses that line.
Yeah.
Again, I would always rather someone that's like him that will always say how it is with other stuff.
Sure.
When people are being dramatic or annoying or whatever, I always respect that he keeps it 100. But when he crosses that line into being racist, sexist, when he starts to offend, religions, that's when I'm like, all right, dude, like, take a
Relax.
break. I love and respect how you go about certain things, but when you do this, that's when it's like whatever. So, But again, it's like part of that whole woke cancel culture, right? We saw how people went after him so crazy, and now that people are losing money, Adidas, there's that conversation to have him back on.
That's
so
crazy.
Part of that is again, we'll obviously address it in a couple months and see how it goes. But my list ultimately, again, part of the reason I wanted to bring that up as a final thing is like, the woke stuff, the cancel stuff, just needs to be better broken down.
I agree.
Before you go and you cancel a guy, they're innocent until they're proven guilty. And I watched, I've said this to you, Hunters on Amazon Prime, I think is a fantastic show. It's a Nazi hunting group going after Adolf Hitler or Hitler's associates that escaped.
Oh, I've heard of Hunters.
It is, they basically, whoa. I'm dying. They escaped Nazi Germany, and then they're under different aliases and stuff like that, living everyday lives. So it's all these people that are hunting them. At the end of season 1, spoiler, if you don't want to hear this, just turn the episode off now. We're not saying anything afterwards. But basically, they find out Hitler's alive. So then season 2 becomes them going after Hitler. But
like after his real death in the real world? Okay, sorry. No. So that he fakes his death, which there's a very heavy conspiracy theory on the fact that that's a real thing. Holy shit!
I don't totally subscribe to it. I don't totally not subscribe to it because there's enough evidence for it to be a thing.
Oh shit!
While also, again, that's not for me to be offensive at all. It's just a conspiracy theory that a lot of people have provided decent evidence about.
The story of the way he died is pretty sketch, no? Like how
they burned his body. They burned his body. They burned his body. He killed himself. Him and Eva Braun killed himself in the bunker, and then the Russians burned his body when they found him.
But was anyone there with them when they took?
But that's what I'm saying. The Russians burned his body. So
that's
where a lot of people think, because if you ever watch the show Hunting Hitler, there's like a path of how people would have escaped and gotten to Argentina, which there was a very large German population in one part. Again, that is not me saying it's real or not real. It's not me saying I'm a conspiracy theorist. I'm just saying that is a thing that's been talked about. But basically in the show, to spoil the entire thing, they capture him and they put him on trial. And a Jewish guy puts him on trial. And one of the scenes is like they basically take this guy into his chambers because they're saying it's Hitler. Like, how is this not an open and closed case?
Yeah.
And one of the justices, it pissed me off, but one of the justices says, he's like, you need to prove to me that all of these things happened. Regardless of how much it has happened, you need to prove it.
Yeah.
Which, it's real, but it's not a lob, right?
Right.
You are innocent until you're proven guilty. Yes. As much as Adolf Hitler is 1,000% not innocent, it was the fact that the guy had to prove that. Not like, hey, it's Adolf Hitler.
Right.
He's a bad guy. Yeah, no shit. He's the worst person ever.
Yeah.
But it was a really good way in the show that they said, you're innocent until you're proven guilty. Make sure you do this so it's an open and shut case. There's no room for us to question it at all.
Right.
So
I'm gonna have to
check it out. It's a great show, fantastic. Al Pacino's in it. Amazon Prime.
Yep. Oh yeah, that's right, Al Pacino.
Yep.
Yeah, I've really seen trailers.
Honestly, it is a very good show to just watch. It's a good, just put it on, watch it, and you'll enjoy it. So definitely check it out.
Cool. Well, all right, guys, that'll do it for us this episode. That was our Ant-Man review and top 5 favorite stand-up comedians. Listen, if you guys don't have YouTube Premium or anything like that and want to watch the podcast, listen to the podcast audio only, you now can on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and much more. We're on a bunch of other stuff too through the site that we're on, but check us out there. It'll be in the link in the description. Also, make sure to like, subscribe, and share. And follow us on all social media platforms at Frank_videos. And with all that being said, we will see you next time. But until then, peace out.
See ya.
Your favorite thing on the menu / most recommended for people to eat. It could be the same thing.
So my favorite item on the menu is Fat Tony sandwich. It's chicken parm sub, mozzarella sticks on top.
Oh yeah.
Just can't go wrong with that.
You can't go wrong with that.
Sounds good.
It sounds pretty good.
Solid.
You can't really go wrong. I mean, it's just a very cheesy sandwich, super greasy.
Is that your favorite thing to make on the menu? Or?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have something that I don't like making.
Yeah.
Because everything I try to keep it under 5 minutes for my ticket time. But most recommended sandwich would be the Fat Philly cheesesteak. It's your regular Philly cheesesteak, so you got sliced ribeye meat, caramelized onions, onion rings, and provolone cheese. And then I have a homemade onion ring sauce, which I put on the sandwich.